Folks, I'm going live right now. I've got big news for everyone, very exciting stuff. Today, I'm going to be telling you, number one, how you can simplify American accent training. There's three steps to it. And if you follow these steps to every single detail that I tell you to, you are going to master the sounds of the American accent in no time. Beyond that, like I said, I do have a gift for everybody listening. And this isn't some fluffy gift saying, oh, you have to give me your email. I don't want your emails or anything, folks. I want you to embrace the sounds and the patterns of the American accent through my podcast. So I got some big news coming out, huge release about to drop on this live. First, let me explain to you what's going on. We're going to simplify the American accent. You do that by finding a versatile sound, finding one sound that's extremely useful and mastering how you apply it. Now, a sound that we do this with is the sound ah, ah. Notice this sound. Okay, right now it's kind of vague, but if I say walk a lot, that's two words with different spellings that have the same ah sound. If I also throw in words like audio podcast, like the AccenTraining audio podcast, we're getting more ah sounds with different spellings. That's what I'm here to talk to you about, folks. The American accent can be mastered if you learn to listen for one specific sound, many specific sounds, but we take them one sound at a time, and we adjust it to make it a natural part of your spoken English. Now, how do we go about doing this? Well, there's lots of ways. You can Google it. You can look on YouTube and find a whole bunch of videos telling you everything. Or you can get your hands on a book, specifically the American Pronunciation Handbook. Now, this isn't just a book that I want to tell you about, because how are you just going to learn the American accent from reading a book? It's like I got a great book wherever. I got a great book here. I'm not learning the sounds. I'm reading it in my head. That's why I've used my wonderful recording equipment to record this book for you into an audiobook and make it available for you for free on my podcast. That's the big news I got for you folks today. I have an entire audiobook that I've written, recorded, and published available for you and everybody listening for free from my podcast. Episodes number 193 to 197 are all covering this in-depth American accent content. Now, the theme of this book is just the sound ah, the one I was just telling you about. Here's the thing. Like I said, it's a pretty simple concept. It's just the sound ah. It's used in your native language. It's used in most languages. But the quality of it is different between the American accent and your native accent. And if you learn to project it with the same quality and the sound and the consistency that American English speakers use, you'll master this and you will start to see quick progress learning the American accent in no time. So this book, the American Pronunciation Handbook, is a 21-day guide to mastering this foundational sound, ah, in the American accent. Beyond that, the audiobook, which is the piece of the puzzle that you need if you really want to drive this stuff home, like I said, totally available for you on the podcast. 100% free. All that I ask is that you give it a listen, and if you like what you hear, hey, share it with a friend. It's an audiobook. Who doesn't like getting their hands on a new audiobook? So that's the big news that I got for you today. The American accent can be simplified. You just have to know what to do. You have to know what to listen for. If you learn to listen for key sounds, the projection of those sounds, and you repeat them many, many times for yourself, you'll get the hang of this and become an expert on American accent sound in no time. Now, How did I develop this method? Well, I've been an accent trainer for about 6 years now, working for contract companies, and then in 2020, moving off onto my own with the Accent Training podcast, expanding things. All of this time that I spent working with hundreds of students, teaching thousands and thousands of hours of classes, helped me develop a method that simplifies things so that when folks start working with me, they aren't overwhelmed trying to fix the most difficult sounds of the American accent, like the TH sound or the R sound. Tricky ones. Those overwhelm people, and when you're overwhelmed and you're trying to start a new skill, you often just give up, and you're not going to follow through with that skill. In fact, you're most likely going to fail. That's why I came up with a system that helps you build upon your strengths. Like I said, the sound ah that I talk about in the audio American Pronunciation Handbook, now available on the podcast, and that I talk about again and again on the podcast and in my book, it's a foundational sound that enables you to take the strengths, the sounds, the patterns from your native language and transition them into your spoken English in the same way that American English speakers are doing. So, this was my big news. Huge news, as a matter of fact. Like I said, my whole life has been building up to this. My whole life I've wanted to be an author. That's my big thing. It's no secret. I tell people that regularly. My dream is to write books, have people buy them, and earn a living. Support myself doing that. This has been my first ever published book. And I gotta tell you, my students are loving it to see quick pronunciation improvements. Just as one final thing that I'd like to mention, if you find yourself listening to the American Pronunciation Handbook, oh, thanks for the big no problem, Elian. It's a pleasure to be delivering it. But yes, if you find yourself listening to the Pronunciation Handbook and you think to yourself, I gotta get my hands on this, there's a link in every podcast episode with a chapter of the book that will enable you to order it directly from Amazon to your door. So, check out the Accent Training podcast. All the episodes have just been uploaded just now. 5 episodes, 5 chapters of this book. The book is only 5 chapters long. It's not a terribly difficult thing. As I said, it's a pretty simple concept. You can pick it up in no time. The main thing is that you're consistent, you follow the exercises, and you use the training plan that I set out for you in the audio, in the American Pronunciation Handbook, in the audiobook, in the podcast, in order to see these lifelong, everlasting, developing results. Well, in the meantime, I do got to get to wrapping things up. This is a rather short one. This announcement is huge, but it's not a huge one. It doesn't take long to deliver it. Maybe I've got to work on my delivery skills. But the point of it is, I have this audiobook available for everybody completely free from the podcast. Check it out now. Episodes number 193, 194, 95, 96, and 97 of the Accent Training Podcast. Totally free accent training material for everybody to take control of your life with. Well, I got to get to wrapping things up for today, folks. I got a lot of work to do today. But thank you very much for your time, for your patience. It's such a pleasure to have the opportunity to share this great news with everybody. I'm going to try to get on live more often because who doesn't like good news? The hardest thing is to have an accent like a native. I know, Sarah, it's tough. That's why my friend Sarah Kia here brings a good point. It's tough. That's why I'm making these resources available to everyone. Where is it? The Accent Training Podcast. I'm going to put a link in the description of my bio so that everybody has access to my audiobook right away. In the meantime, I got to get that link up, but in the meantime, check out the Accent Training podcast. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it through the link in my bio right now. You'll just have to find the episode that you're looking for. Listen to the episodes that I've put up, the full recording of the audiobook, and take control of the sound of your spoken English. Have a good one, folks.